Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I stopped trading like 20 minutes ago, like this area. So anyway, I have my overnight highs here, my overnight lows here. I was kind of debating whether the overnight high would be here or here, because this right here is technically the high, but this is a more significant swing. That's kind of just chop, whatever. So I was going to see how price reacted off of it. We haven't got there yet, so I don't, it just never came into play. Overnight low is easy. Now, we have this uptrend here, this big spike up here, and then it ends up becoming a measured move. So we have this measured legs here, and then one way that you can do it at first is you kind of have this push higher here, and then a break, and then two attempts to reach the measured move, which it doesn't reach the measured move, and that's not a good short here, because it's not off any resistance, which this resistance line wasn't forming until after it bounced there. So it wasn't off of anything. It was into this upper trend line here. It didn't quite reach the measured move. It was basically just buying off of, or it was shorting off of no resistance. It wasn't even off the channel highs here. So I don't see anything good there, even though you have those two legs up in a bearish bar. But this channel that started forming here does get a break, pushes up, reaches that measured move here. So now we have that measured move reached. It's directly off of it. It's rebouncing off of the, this channel low here, because it broke out, pulled back to it, reached that the channel low. And then I didn't like it until we got this bar here, because at first it was closing back above that channel there, and then also inside of this short-term trend line here. So I just waited on this. The main issue was closing out of this bigger channel, because this smaller one did have an overshoot, but it was nice that it also closed out of it. And so, yeah, that's why I liked that. It was right off that measured move. It was clearly forming a resistance. We had that swing there, and then that swing bounced off it there. And then we were getting it was directly off of it again there, and then it also reached the measured move to the tick. And of course, it was a failed breakout of this range. It was the second one, so you could actually view that as the first attempt to fade, second attempt to fade. It was great context and a great setup after it closed below, closed out of that trend. Yeah, it's just when you're closing back into this and you got that at the same time, you should just wait on something a little bit better, like a closeout. So that's why I liked that. Had room to the lows, wouldn't want to push it past that, just to be safe. So that's the first sign of a bearish imbalance. When you start turning down in the range, that means bears are taking control. And so then we have these two clear legs down here. It's just a leg down. We have a correction for a while, then we have a second leg down. And that breaks out of the overnight low that formed from over here. And I didn't see a particularly great setup from this, breakout. I didn't see any good setup. It was just, we had this downtrend. We barely closed out of it here. It got choppy, and then it closed at the high of that. That's not a reason to enter. Of course, this line wasn't here, because it's just a first breakout. Got very choppy. Yeah, it's just not a great setup. And then it's off of nothing, and then it didn't reach the measured move. If it reached the measured move, then it's much more likely to be, it's much more likely to set something up good. But it didn't reach the measured move and just started going sideways. And then you got this higher low here, first entry short, second entry short, failure. So a failed second entry that's just stuck below the EMA. Not a good reversal pattern, not good. And so we do push higher though. We push back into the range, back above the EMA. Then we have this spike up, break, expecting a new high. We just faded the range. We had two legs down. We didn't reach the measured move. It clearly failed to reach that. And it was successfully, strongly pushing back into the range, meaning gears are shifting. Looks like we're going long again. And so it's not an exact reversal pattern. It's not like a failed second entry, perfectly, but it's a reversal area, and you got a good failed breakout of this range, and it's closing out of STT. And it closed above the EMA here out of STT, and it clearly had two small attempts, which the main thing is the context here, which is, once again, two legs down, breakout. Most breakouts fail, and we strongly pushed higher here, and then the entry ended up closing above the EMA with a failed breakout of this range, and yeah, it looked overall great, and it wasn't even 2 legs up even. Like, it wasn't 2 legs up and then a push low, because it did close below the EMA here. And so if it had 2 legs up, like 2 measured legs, and then immediately rushed below the EMA, that would be a bad sign. But we just have 1 leg up, and price moves in legs of 2. And so we can expect possibly a second leg up after we clearly got a break. So that's why I liked that. Now, we push higher here. We get this little breakout pullback off the range right here. It gets pretty choppy, and then it's closing inside this trend line. I don't see any good trades right there. We do push higher, and then with this measured move here, I quickly want to just go over it. So at first, it might look like someone might say, what if you put it there and then drag it to there? Well, as soon as you get that leg up and it corrects, it's like, yeah, you can do that. But there's a bigger picture measured move that's forming, and that's from when the entire trend plays out. And so this is uptrend break new high, and so I'm going to put it to there, and then that's the copied measured move. It didn't quite reach it. It almost got there a couple times, but we never quite reached it. So anyway, we have push higher here. We get to that resistance again. Now it kind of just blows straight through that resistance. It clearly turns down in that area. It wasn't directly, it wasn't directly off of it, but it clearly was able to push really strongly through it, but it did end up correcting back down. So there's no good short entry here. It's all closing in this STT, and then when you do finally get this close back here, not finally, because it happened pretty fast. It's just you didn't reach the measured move. Even though you have a bearish imbalance, you're still in the uptrend. It's just kind of a top pick. I believe someone took it in the site. It's not the worst trade in the world, because you can clearly see there is a resistance there, but it's just very bullish. We just reversed very strongly. We have a measured move in play, and it's not like that resistance is very strong. I mean, it rejected it there, but it blew straight through it, so I wasn't a fan of it. And then when this uptrend here got to break, and then we push up to a new high, it just blows straight through it again, and more strongly this time. And so I didn't want to enter directly back into it because I was afraid, oh, this looks very strong. What if it breaks out, pulls back, and we reach that measured move? Because measured moves are, they're strong, they are important. And so I didn't like anything in here. It's unfortunate because it's like, a huge move, but, that's just how trading is. So we push lower here, we get this spike down, we go into this, more reasonable channel right here, and then we reach the low, and so this is really just 1 leg down. Whoops, I keep going back. So here's what we have here. We have those 2 legs down, and then we have 2 legs up, which really is just this 1 leg up here. And so we have uptrend, break, new high. It's not really exactly 2 legs up, because it's clearly not the same as this. These are 2 very separated legs. This is a leg, but it does have a break and a new high, and that can react the same as 2 legs down. And so it clearly is doing that here. Now, I wanted to get like a reversal pattern, except we only got this lower high. I wanted like a nice reversal pattern, but we just got a lower high with a horrible signal bar. And then, anyway, so we have 1 push down to a new low, or not to a new low. I don't know why I said that. We have 1 push down to the overnight low, and we reject it. I wasn't wanting to buy until we had a couple attempts, at this downtrend playing out, like this down move having a break, couple attempts at a new low. And, we have some small attempts here. We have like a first attempt and then a second attempt, which pushes it all the way out. And so now we can see it as downtrend break, new low, very strong. It just pushed straight down, chopped around, and then we rushed back above the EMA, made a double bottom with that. I didn't catch it immediately, the double bottom. I was kind of focusing on the overnight low. It took me till here to get that. But anyway, so we rushed above the EMA. It was very choppy. There's no good trades in there, and I didn't like any of it. And also, it's not like it was at a measured move, and I just wasn't a fan of any of that. It was just very choppy, into the EMA. We had one leg down. We could have a second leg down to a new low. That's very common. I mean, we have a bearish imbalance. It's just risky buying and stuff like that, especially with a bearish imbalance. So we push above the EMA, go back into the range again. We have this leg up. We correct. We start going off higher here. You can put the measured move here, and then we know where our next measured move target is here. And so we have these two legs back into the range. We reach that measured move, and then as soon as we reach it, we turn down. There weren't any good entries to get up to it. You know, like this is in the middle of nowhere. This higher low is not off the EMA. It's just after a big spike. So it's just, you know, I didn't see anything, you know, to buy up there. But when we do get up there, we do turn down. Of course, you can't just, you know, short at a measured move, or just, you know, enter at a measured move for that sole reason. But we are starting to get a, especially when you have two legs down, because like if it was more like a big picture failed second entry, I'd be more okay with entering and stuff right here. But instead, what I'd want to do is wait for it to rush below the EMA just for confirmation, because using just measured moves when it's not really any other kind of setup is a little bit risky. So, you know, you just wanted to wait for some kind of reversal, like a reversal back below. And we do push back below here, but then we immediately push back above. And so then we get this lower high, but it's extremely choppy and not good. And then we get this, you know, another tick higher here, and then you're closing at the low of that. So it's unfortunate you don't get anything on this reversal here, but you can't enter in that. That's just too risky, and then nothing good set up here. So that's unfortunate. Went to that range there. So we go into this downtrend, and then we have an overshoot. We reach that level again, which is when I kind of acknowledged it. It took me a longer, embarrassingly long time. I didn't really get this low until we got that third bounce there. But anyway, so then we push higher here. We get this higher low. It's not off of anything. You can say it's off that, you know, channel low, but that's not really. I'm not going to take a trade based off that. Not to mention it's into the EMA anyway. I mean, you could get out for 1-to-1. That's a very short picture trade. It's just very bearish, below the EMA, getting choppy, and it's not off of anything. You know, came off there, but the higher low isn't off anything. And then we get this failed second entry, which is the entry would be all the way up in the, you know, the overnight low, like directly into it. So that's not good. It's just unfortunate, but we don't get any good clear setups here. But now here, I want to go over this. So it's choppy in here. It's not very clear. And then as more price action forms, it forms a bigger picture reversal pattern. So you see, this is a small picture reversal pattern, and we didn't get any good setup there. But then we get a bigger picture reversal pattern. First entry short, second entry short, failure. And it was perfect. It was to reach the measured move. And so at this point here, now we have kind of two legs down. It's, you know, it's not insanely clear because it looks like a big drop and then a break, new low. But clearly this is a spike down, even though it kind of shot straight down, went sideways. It's a leg down, break, another leg down, and it failed. So once it bounced that third time there, that's a very, very strong move. That's a triple bottom below the overnight lows. That's a very strong move. We rush above the EMA. We get a big picture failed second entry with room to the measured move. And then I want to talk about, because this measured move right here led to the same exact level as this other measured move. That's kind of like when, and that does make it stronger, by the way. It's kind of like when you have two key entry points intersecting, like when you have a range key entry point and a trend key entry point, you know, at the same level at your entry. It's kind of like that. It does make it more stronger because measured moves are a resistance level. They are a resistance level. I mean, clearly, like, look at that one. Bounced straight off it there. That one bounced straight off it there. This one bounced straight off it there. So they are important. They're very important to draw. So that's why I didn't quite push it all the way. I went for 1.45 R because, you know, sometimes it might not be exactly off the very tip of the arrow. So I just lowered it like a couple ticks from 1.5 R. So I liked that one. Big picture failed second entry, holding above the EMA, and then even last second you got that nice second entry down, which isn't the main thing. The main thing is the big picture setup. But anyway, so after we reached that measured move, we rushed below the EMA, immediately rushed back above with a higher low. Now, I didn't take that. This is basically when I stopped trading. So I kind of just stopped in this area all right here. Now, I'm going to do the rest of the analysis with y'all here. So let me just zoom out, show the day one more time. So this is everything I traded, and now we're going to go into the stuff I haven't looked at. So we have this uptrend here. We get this overshoot. Now, when you get an overshoot, price will oftentimes lead to a break, but if price keeps going higher, then there's likely a different channel in play if it doesn't start going to break after the overshoot. So we could have something like this. Oh, I didn't mean to move that. So we have it off here. We can adjust those highs as we need. So we could be in a channel like that. We could see how it reacts. I mean, I'm not going to wait to see how it reacts. I'm done. But this channel looks pretty good. It's clearly holding. But yeah, it's really just spiking really high up. I don't like these longs, to be honest. Even that, I don't like that because it's really just you're buying really high. The measured move just happened, and then you're rushing below the EMA here, and then it looks like you have STT. I probably shouldn't have judged this trade so quickly, but yeah, I'm just not a fan of that. It's very extended. Someone asked me what extended meant. I responded to him, but it got me thinking other folks might not know what it means. If you ever hear me say price is extended, I just mean like it was like it spiked up. Say it's price spiked up, and then there's an entry at the high, and it feels overbought already. That's what I mean by extended. So if I say extended, I mean it feels kind of overbought, and that's just from it'd be like going short down here. It's like that's an extended move down, and then you're shorting at the very low of it. So that's what I mean a lot of times when I say extended. And then the correction is really just a very sharp leg down. It's just overall not a great area. Here you have a clear legs. This is just, it's really just a second entry, but one leg down, very sharp, closing below the EMA. And then I see it close back above and it has STT in it, but I really don't like how sharp down that was. That's just a, quick first entry shooting down real fast below the EMA. We push higher here. It goes very choppy, and looks like there's really nothing in that. Yeah, because when you have a wider channel and then everything is staying up inside this thinner one, it's like it has to break at some point and go down. And, the bigger the correction you have before your entry, the better. Because, once again, you don't want to buy high and you don't want to sell low. It's just, Anyway, that's probably going to do it for this video. And, yeah. I guess I don't have anything else to say. Yeah, I'll see y'all next time.